It's March the 15th, 2025. I'm Chris, and this is the future of photography.
The future of photography.
And we're all back. The three of us. Hey, Jeremiah. Hey, Adrian.
Hello. Hi.
How are you guys doing?
Oh, back finally.
Yeah, finally. Jeremiah, you've been long gone. You've been
I have been
traveling, and you had
yes.
an exhibition, and
Yeah, many, a few. So, yeah, it's been a very fun ride. I was in New York and then up to Stamford, Connecticut, where I opened my retrospective of some of my. I'm not going to call them recent because they've been done over the last few years, but they haven't been exhibited.
oh, for some photographers, that is recent.
Well, it is. Yeah. And so there were, 4 or 5 rooms in this beautiful, beautiful museum up in Connecticut. Very well attended show. There's your map, how to get there. And
We'll put the link in the show notes. That's awesome.
Sure.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. How many photos?
There were 62.
Wow.
62 encompassing sort of from very little macro to the organic evolution of cells and then plants and then still lives and then space. So it's kind of, I called it Explorer because it's about the exploration of ourselves and purpose, and gave a talk, gave an interviews, several, and it was a good time had by all, and for me it was good because it just blew a lot of smoke up my ass. So that's always a fun thing. So
Mr. Important.
yeah, for a minute.
We are not worthy here on this tiny little podcast. So the exhibition in Stamford is still open till May the 27th. Oh, that's quite a while.
Well, yeah, and then this show will travel to another museum in 26. So.
Wow.
And there's talk of trying to get it to Italy in between, but we'll see.
Very cool.
Shipping being obstinate.
Yes. But hey, awesome. So did it tick all your boxes? Was it?
Yeah,
it set up the way, curated the way, hung the way that you wanted it?
I couldn't have done a better job myself, I don't say. So they did an amazing job, and they really evolved it, and people were really captivated in the storytelling of it. And I gave a talk on awe, and how one's relationship with standing in front of a work that just stops you in your tracks for a moment without consciousness yet, and the connection between art and science, and how they're inexplicably joined, and they kind of push each other always and have for many, many years. And so I was expecting a lot more challenging questions, just because this was the first, that I knew of big major museum show of art which used a lot of AI in it. So one expects the more traditionalists to come down hard, but it was extremely celebrated. And
cool.
In fact, when I was in New York, I had met at Christie's with the curator of digital and AI work, and they had their first auction on March the 5th of that kind of work on generative AI and whatnot. And I went to see the work itself also, and it was a massive success. So we can see the acceptance slowly into what I would consider the traditional art world.
Also surprising how people treat you differently when they are face to face with you rather than over social media.
Okay,
funny, isn't it?
Idiot. I expect nothing less. Having come from the film business, I know the culture very, very well.
Pretty sure you had your share of all that.
Yeah. Nonetheless, it was a nice reaffirmation of doing the work and having it shown, because that is, ultimately, yes, the expressive process for all of us of doing the work is in and of itself very, very satisfying. But when it takes on a life of its own and inspires others or just stops people, it's just satisfying on another level. I disassociated from myself. I really do at that point. So it was nice. And, I have some work going to the photography show in the Armory, big photo show in New York in a month's time. That's, if you've never been, that's an amazing show from all over the world. And so I feel kind of, a little bit of more of that.
Awesome. So you have your exhibition going. Everyone, if you're anywhere near Connecticut,
or New York. New York, it's a quick train ride from New York.
And I didn't do anything. And and Adrian, you went to a photography show, a bit of a different show, less art, more gear.
Yeah, definitely more gear. Plenty of talks and presentations. There was some galleries hung up as well. Prints of people's photography, various different things. So, yeah.
Can I ask you a question about it? A
sure.
Specific question?
Yeah.
Did you play with the new Sigma ridiculous cam?
I did. Yeah.
Which I think we share. Certainly, I know Chris and I share the absurdity of doing such a beautiful piece of block steel.
We talked about it last episode.
Without a viewfinder. Yes. Without a viewfinder. I mean, come on.
It right. is well. Let's start with that one. I mean, sure. The bulk of today's show and conversation is stuff that I saw on my travels, right? Specifically at the photography show, or the photography and video show, to give it its full name, actually. And I did get to see and to play with hands-on the Sigma BF, the beautiful foolishness. And it is both of those things in spades, right? So I mean, from the very first thing, you pick it up and you go, oh yeah, this is properly well made, right? It's and people say it's the camera that Apple should have made, or would make. I mean, the similarities kind of begin and end, I suspect, in some ways, with the fact that it's milled from a single block of aluminium. Yes. It certainly feels like that when you pick it up, but it feels very, very high quality, very nicely made. In the period of time I had with it, I figured out which was the shutter button, because it's the one at the top, right?
There's only one shutter button.
The rest of the user interface remained completely obscure to me. I couldn't figure out, one jot how to make it work. So it is very, very different from your normal run-of-the-mill camera. Not that that's necessarily a bad thing. These things are easily learnable, right? And it was great, and it felt good in the hand. The lenses that they've released to go with it, although they look like they should overbalance it and make it nose heavy, it's not particularly nose heavy. I guess because the camera itself is good and chunkily made. Am I going to buy one? No. It's. I honestly, I couldn't tell you, other than for the fun factor. Who might? I don't think it's going to be a great camera to use, really.
I've seen a couple of reviews already, and one of them said after about 500 pictures it clicked. So maybe it's one of those things that you'll have to use for a while and then fall in love with it. I don't know.
I just, for me, with such a beautiful design, and there's no doubt it looks very, very beautiful, and this simple elegance of it is captivating. Not to be able to use it as a proper camera, but always really have to move it away from you in order to experience the intimacy of it, because I think all of us understand that our relationships with camera often are very close to the body, and it's an extension of the eye.
It's a good aspect, yep.
So I think, listen, it's a choice. Certainly, if you're doing video, maybe you want to get away from the viewfinder, optical or otherwise, but not to include it, for me, is a tremendous oversight that it's as if they never asked a photographer what they felt about this. I mean, what photographer would go like, whatever you do not put a viewfinder in this camera?
I'm pretty sure that's a great opportunity for third parties. Just a little, like a little sports viewfinder, not connected, just a
but
thing to
you'd
look
need
through.
A cage for it though first. You'd need to put it in a cage and with it, and then pop your viewfinder on a cold chill in the cage. So it is lovely, and as an exercise, it's fantastic, and I'm sure it makes amazing photographs. I've seen the review you mentioned, Chris. I think I may have seen that one. I recognise it. Recognise that comment, and I've seen others that say things like, "Well, it's fantastic, but it's a bright sunny day today, and I can't see the screen, so." We'll just point and shoot. Literally, just point and shoot.
Exactly. So tell me something. What was the most impressive thing you saw at the show?
The most? Oh, wow. Okay. Do you know what? Actually, I'm going to go with a piece of software that really impressed me. And if you're following links, Chris, this is the one in the top of the show notes. It's a piece of software called Peak 2, which I believe is from a French company. And I spent a little bit of time with a guy who was demoing it to me, and I think he's like the founder and CEO. I think it must only be a small company, or at least one of the founder members.
Antonin or something is his name.
I've got his business card somewhere.
I have a story.
You have a story about this, do you?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
No, math. Oh no, I don't know. I can't remember his name. Anyway, this is really interesting software. So this software, it's primarily digital asset management, but it doesn't do any of the editing or anything like that. But what it will do is it will read the catalogues of a whole bunch of major and some minor software editing products, photo editing products, and so when it presents you with what your digital assets, it will read the raw files from folders, and you can browse your folders, but it'll also read your Lightroom catalog or your Luminar Neo catalog or your Capture One catalog,
right.
and it will represent those images with the edits that you've made. And I thought that was really, really interesting and impressive for people that like to use different editing tools, to be able to see what you've done. And rather than just be able to browse the raw files, I thought that was very impressive.
The theory, of course, you could go to your multiple catalogs and punch in trees at dawn, and it will bring up all the images you've done. Trees at dawn, because it'll read the.
It will do, yeah. It'll read all of that stuff, and the other thing is, where the editing software packages have relevant APIs, it'll boot you right into the edit window in the right. So you double click on it on the image in Peak 2, and it'll boot you into the edit pane of Lightroom, and you're right there. So it's trying to be really seamless. It can't do it if the products don't have the right API calls available. But I really loved that. That was, I don't know if it was the most impressive, right? But it was certainly something that really impressed me with its sophistication.
And now an editorial comment on Peak 2.
Go ahead.
As a extremely early adopter of this software, I tried to get it running on any catalog in my system, unsuccessfully, over the course of 3 or 4 weeks with the senior techs, including the founder, back and forth into the root catalog, all of that stuff. Never got it working. They gave up. I gave up. So in its initial release, I was, of course, blown away. It's really what I need to search my couple 100,000 images or more in multiple catalogs. I thought this is going to be great. And I thought I would start it very slowly on my Apple catalog, just my snaps local on my MacBook. And that's where I started. We could never get it running, ever.
That's really weird. Okay.
Well. They tried, I tried. So I'm hopeful that the second gen of this software, I can't speak to other users who may have had the same problem or none, but whatever it was, I'm running a pretty straightforward process. My MacBook was up to date, so there was none of those issues. And I applied. They were certainly forthcoming in terms of our kind of email. We even did, I think, a Zoom or something, dialogue back and forth. Never got it to work. So that's my
So you tried the first version, and the ones that's out right now, is that the second one?
No, this is the version.
Oh, this is still the first one.
Yeah. I'm saying that when they improve
version 2. It says version 2.0 on the website.
Yeah,
and you picked to version 2.0.
That's right. No, I used 1. We gave up on that. Then we used 2. Gave up on that.
Oh, okay.
You've used version 2 as well. Okay, interesting. Yeah. Did you try with any other catalogs? I got to say, the demo didn't do Apple photos. He showed me it working with Lightroom. He showed me it working with Luminar. He showed me it working with at least one other, fairly heavyweight editor. Can't remember which one.
I just felt if it couldn't access the most basic Mac catalog, then would I unleash it on my Lightroom catalog in fear that it could corrupt it in some way. So there's no way I was going to do that without battle testing it in a simpler way. Wouldn't you agree?
I don't know whether it writes to those catalogs or it just reads them. So if it was a read only.
Anyway, so let's just
move on.
Stick with this is an impressive product. If it works, we have at least one person who hasn't gotten it to work. Yeah.
Well, it looked pretty good to me. I was like, oh yeah, I might try that out when I get home. Am I looking to pay a monthly subscription just to access the files on my hard drive? Not really. But
it's not cheap.
No,
if you have a need, then there's a good possibility that you might want to pay, and if it works for you. But that's what you have a free trial for, I guess. So
exactly, yeah. I used up my free trial and 1 week.
All right, next one. What else did you see?
Okay, well, let's go with another software one, and this one was interesting, right? Because of the business model, which I think is becoming a little bit more common, and worth discussion maybe. So this was a product called Evoto, which is an AI-based photo editing app. So far so normal, right? Everybody's got AI in their photo editing apps. These guys, though, said they would do more, but they operate a credit system, as if like when you buy tokens and credits for using AI engines. So you pay a small amount of money to buy the software, but then you buy credits, and you use those credits whenever you call the AI functions. And then when you've run out of credits, you have to buy more credits. So for me, this was really not a strange, just a bad concept. I think I'm going to go out. I don't think this is strange. The concept of buying credits for stuff is not strange. I just think it's a really bad idea.
So it's a usage-based pricing, pretty much.
Yeah.
I think that, one of the downfalls of this kind of stuff with photo editing is that, like when you use a Magnifique or one of those credits for usage and you get a certain amount per month, you're using it for some very specific build or upscale or whatever you're going to do, but you know what the end product will be. So you're going to spend, and it tells you this will cost you 20 credits. You do it and it's done. When you're doing photo editing is a fluid process. Don't we all agree? In other words, you're trying this, you're trying that and whatnot. So when you're by quote, penalizing financially the use of experimenting with the software, you're actually giving people an incentive to hold back on really exploring the software. The software could be and looks fantastic. I mean, it looks great, retouch skin, whatever you want to do. But every time you make a slight shift, pay.
I believe what they're doing is they farm that out to AI in the back end through an API. They have a cost, and the cost is usage based. So they are just handing that with a markup. They're handing that over to the user. I think
so.
So
yeah, it's a gateway probably with an interface.
Probably. So what else?
What else? Well, let's talk about something. Okay, a couple of things that are real world things, like products you can put your hand on. I spent quite a lot of time looking at all the various different papers and the vendors of papers. There were a good handful of them there, and so I just wanted to pick one out. It's nice to be able to talk to people about the paper, right? And pick up the sample packs, for just a few pounds, as just on the day, and take them home with you and try them out. The one I'll pick out, because I happen to buy their sample packs rather than somebody else's sample packs, is Innova Papers. They had a big stand. They had lots and lots of papers out that you could, all very touchy feely and stuff like that. And just there's a real physical enjoyment for me of like feeling the textures of the papers, giving them a waggle, see how that feels. I'm thinking about what you might print on each particular one, thinking, do I want to buy this one or that one? And they're like, there's good prices at the show. Everybody has good prices at the show, right? That's the show prices are a thing, right? That everybody wants to tell you. And they go, when you buy this, buy that. And it's like, hold your horses, because I'm going to buy the A3 size, right? And I'm not wanting to carry that through London on public transport on my way home. So I'll buy the sample packs, which are A4 size, and I'll have a go, and then I'll order. He said, in which case then take the catalogue, take the pricing catalogue, because the show prices, right? He said, if you ring up the office for a couple of weeks after the show and tell that, they'll ask you a question of how much is the price, and you have to tell them, and that proves that you've got the catalogue in your hand, and they'll honour the show prices. And okay, so no, I'm exaggerating for theatrical effect, of course, but it's a fun conversation, and it's a real part of these shows is the ability to talk to people who are. And this guy's pretty passionate about his product, right? And it's just fun and tactile, and I've brought some paper home now, which I can now test in the printer and see what I like and see what works and what doesn't and stuff like that. So, shout out to the team at Innova Papers, because they made part of my afternoon more fun.
Sounds cool. I couldn't open the website. For some reason, it's not loading. So,
okay. Well, maybe they don't work in Germany. I don't know, but
possibly. I don't know. No, but it said it couldn't reach it anyway.
Couldn't reach it. Well, maybe they're just offline. So yeah. Okay. So that was one thing. Next one. A few here. And this is a sort of bulk observation in some way. There were lots of companies selling these tiny button-sized microphones that are the current generation of your vloggers kit or interviewers kit and stuff like that. So there's three I've picked out here: Saramonic, Hollyland, and Rode.
It's a category. It's a category. Yep, absolutely.
It is now. And the box, so I have one of the Rode ones, one of the square ones, right? The Wireless Go or something, or Wireless Go 2 or something like that. And that's great. It's a great thing. But now you can get them that do all sorts, and you get some that have tiny little buttons, but you get some that are sort of almost like a Lego kit of microphone, right? There's the microphone itself, and then you can put it maybe on a little connector, then it allows you to plug it directly into your iPhone or other mobile device. There's so that I guess is a sort of casual vlogging option, but they sort of they just come as like constructor kits that you can say, okay, well, I'm going to use it in this configuration today, and and stuff like that. It's just,
I don't know if we talked about it here on the show, but Rode and the Rode Wireless Go Generation 3 is not just a wireless microphone, it's also a fashion statement, because you can get it in different colors.
Of course.
So
it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful,
as opposed to proudly wearing the Rode logo on your lapel, you'll now be able to match it with your outfit, which I think that's a genius move.
Influencers, take note.
They are already, definitely. I mean, this thing comes in 6, 7, 14 different colors. I mean, this is wild. And it's not clip-on cases. The microphone itself is that color. So if you want 2 different colors, you have to buy 2 of them.
Do they give the dead cats in the right color, the windshields? Because if the windshields are color coded as well, that would be just glorious. Yeah,
I
are
don't.
they
I
just
don't
the
think
standard
so.
black or grey?
Secondary market.
I don't think
good
so.
point.
But that's
Etsy.
no. The furry. They call it the furry, and it's black.
Okay,
Yep.
all right. So I
Goes
mean,
with everything. It goes with everything.
I haven't tested any of these products. I mean, there are a gazillion YouTube videos, right? If anybody's interested in any particular brand, as I say, I have one of the Rode ones. To be honest, I bought it because it looked like so much fun several years ago. I've probably used it about 3 or 4 times ever. I just don't have that many use cases for a mobile wireless mic. But hey, great fun, lots of stuff going on, lots of competition in this market space now. I don't know where it's going to.
Any printers that you saw
Printers?
that are interesting?
Yes, so I know you won't like this, Jeremiah, but Epson were there. They had a full stand, and I know Epson are not your friends anymore. Canon had lots of printers there. The one thing you do get at this show is vendors of printers. So there are companies that will sell you, dye sublimation printers that can print at A4, for example. Quite a lot. Yeah, and everybody, of course, likes to bring their plotters as well, so they can print out 3 feet wide, 4 feet wide. I saw one, I think it might have been on the Epson stand, that was actually 5 feet wide, so 1 meter 50 wide. Nice. And of course as long as you like, right? Because or at least until the ink runs out. I mean, I suspect you have to have your sort of a fire hose of ink going into things.
It's funny, what at the show at Christie's that I saw, there was a piece that was up on the wall with the plotter, massive, probably that size, which was creating the work of art that you would actually bid on. So it was an active piece. As far as Epson, I'll give them another shout out because in trying to convert my 800 to piezo, I completely bricked the printer, completely bricked it to the point where I had to bring it in, and they needed to get more VRAM, and they put in more VRAM, and it's still bricked. It's completely parts only now. So,
I have years ago. I've been in a big room where they print these skyscraper size pictures, and this is a printer that runs on the floor. And the carriage can run as long as you can make the rails that it runs on. So they have like they pour in color by the bucket. So quite a different animal.
Love that.
Very interesting.
Yeah, so lots of printers. Having recently acquired a new printer in our household, I wasn't looking to buy a printer. Looking to still exploring the one that we've bought, and enjoying exploring the one that we've bought. The thing that was missing, and I know I talked about this a couple of shows ago, and Jeremiah, you sent me some links, to for storage of prints at just flat prints at up to A3 size. I went round that whole exhibition floor, and it was a sizable exhibition floor, and I couldn't find anybody selling storage. So there's definitely a market opportunity
certainly
there.
If you're buying that huge printer, it becomes an issue.
Well, yeah, indeed, yeah. So there's definitely a market for that, and it was just while I mentioned the show floor. Actually, it was good because I probably mentioned it's the first time it's been in London. This show, it's usually in Birmingham, and the exhibition centre in Birmingham is big, right? But the one in London is massive, and it was decent. There was a bit more room to move. Although seemingly, I think quite a few more people attended, which is, I guess, in some ways not unsurprising. Birmingham has the advantage of being smack in the middle of the country. Well, in the middle of England anyway. If you ignore all the other bits of the UK, it's in the middle of England, and it's very, very well connected with public transport. But London's London, right? And the population density of the UK is a lot higher in and around London. So lots and lots of people there. It was still, it was a really good atmosphere. The only thing I was a little bit miffed about is the pro/press lounge is now a big open space. So it used to be in Birmingham like a little back area where you could go and dump your bag and it would be pretty safe, and you could get a free cup of coffee because nobody was looking, right? Now it's all at the pro lounge is just an open cafe area in the middle of the floor, and you have to pay for your own coffee now. It's just like so whereas I could count on, the fact that I'm a member of this professional podcasting team, I could count on about 30 quid's worth of value from my press pass. My press pass value has gone down to about 15 quid now, or whatever the general admission is. So but having said that, I save money by not having to stay in a hotel overnight. So pros and cons, because I can get to London and back very easily. So that's just a little note on the experience.
Back to the tools we love to use. Any interesting cameras other than the BF?
The other camera, of course, that lots of people are talking about at the moment is the OM Systems OM3. So I went to have a look at that and a play with that as well. And, having already picked up that, I happened to see this one following sometime after seeing the Sigma BF, picked it up, and it was deceptively lightweight. When you pick something up in a comedy way and your hand shoots up in the air because you're expecting it to be heavier, it was almost like that. So and pros and cons, right? So as a travel camera, which of course is how this camera is marketed in a lot of ways, or as a street camera that you can take around with you all day, carry all day, it would be a really good carry all day camera.
It's light.
Because it's light, you wouldn't notice it really. You could do a good long day carrying this thing, and you wouldn't particularly notice it, especially if you had one of the smaller lenses on it.
It's funny. It reminds me of the old Asahi Pentax. That's what it instantly reminds me of.
Yeah, I mean, by design, right? It's emulating a 1970s SLR, isn't it? That's the whole look they're going for. Other than that, it's a camera. It's got all the things you'd expect to see on an OM Systems or an older Olympus camera. It feels very similar to a lot of their other cameras. So if you like those sorts of things, you're gonna like this one, especially if you're looking for something that has a certain look and feel to it. So that's good. It didn't really wow me, which isn't a complaint.
It's a camera. It has a viewfinder. It has dials and buttons and a display that you can tilt and swivel.
It actually looks like a really great camera that does things that cameras should do.
Yeah, it does, and all of the things that and more. I mean, it's got because they've squeezed a lot of their flagship technology into it, haven't they? And I don't know about you guys, but one of the things I love about the Olympus, I've only got an Olympus, I haven't got an OM system, but the OM system cameras as well, is things like and I can't remember what they call it, but it's the one where you've got it on a tripod and you're doing and it sort of builds the picture over a series of multiple exposures. It's a live composite. I can't remember what it is, but it's
Pixel
great for
50?
shooting.
Is that what you're talking about?
No, it's where, if you imagine you've got it on a tripod and you're trying to do a cityscape at night, and one you could do one long exposure, or in this case it builds it up over multiple exposures in camera. So loads of great technology in the camera, really powerful stuff.
Which is a very Olympus or OM system kind of thing, especially like shooting long exposures of lights and light trails and things. That's a feature that more manufacturers should have. But the reason it doesn't wow you is that it's better, but it's not like different.
Yeah, it's not different.
It's more and better of the same, I guess.
Yeah, I was wowed by the fact it had a viewfinder, right? Because I've been playing with the Sigma.
Who needs viewfinders? Aren't you shooting with your phone? Phone doesn't need a viewfinder.
So, that is absolutely not a complaint. I reckon for somebody that's looking for this kind of camera, it's going to be a really solid purchase, right? And you would be able to carry it around all day.
I'm assuming it's not wildly expensive.
It's a couple of thousand whatevers, isn't it?
So it's not a cheap camera.
It's not a cheap camera. No, it's £1,000 euro dollar type camera, £2,000 pound euro dollar type camera, I think.
£1,699.
That's
maybe it was maybe it's with
is-
the lens. Maybe it's the lens makes it up closer to 2,000 then. So
Is $2,200.
yeah.
Well, if you translate directly, and about €2,000. Okay.
Do you know what though? If you take away all of what are largely emotional arguments about sensor size in 2025, it's a camera that's worth that. I mean, it has a smaller sensor than a lot of other cameras, but you for similar in a Sony or a Canon or whatever, you'd probably be paying the same amount. It's just the sensor size is different. So, pick your compromises, I say. But yeah, really, really good looking camera. So that's that one. And then always another tactile joy for me. It is shopping all the camera bags, because you can never have too many camera bags, right? So
we are so different when it comes to that. But okay, continue.
well, I didn't buy any, Chris. Right? I just enjoy them. Yeah.
Well, there's Peak.
So I've
Design.
the link I've put in is to the Peak Design outdoor bags, right? So not their camera bag lines, which is a new line that they have launched, I think, in the last 12 months. Certainly, it's the first time I've seen them around, physically seen them around. And of course, you can buy your Peak Design camera cubes, and they'll fit in nicely and stuff like that. But this is their outdoor range. Interesting. They have a certain look to them.
They have a great. There's a company that really does pay attention to use form, and interestingly enough, just here, not a 15-minute walk from where I sit, Peak Design has opened a flagship store with all of their stuff. Yeah, which I just discovered. I was walking in, and they, of course, went, "Oh, have you heard of Peak Design?" I said, "You guys, I bought Peak Design before you were born." Anyway, and in my pick, I will talk a little bit about them. But I'm very enamored. I have a bunch of bags from them and all kinds of clips and stuff like that. I just find over the years it has helped manage the carry in fantastic ways. I can't say enough about the quality that they construct and the attention they pay to their customers, to their users. And I obviously can't say that about everything that I use.
No. So yeah, I love playing with camera bags and just seeing what's what. And I always think, I won't buy one just frivolously, but if one makes a real difference, or if it thinks I think could make a real difference, I'm not going to stop myself from buying one. Didn't this time, but many brands, from the big outdoorsy in the mountains low pro ones, to in the city timber bags. Some brands that I love that are slightly more affordable, like Vanguard. I love Vanguard camera bags. They're always well made and more affordable. Billingham, who are well made and of course entirely not affordable, or depending on your point of view. And these Peak Design ones, I think they could be good. Not really my kind of thing. I'm not a camera backpack kind of a guy, but Can
I ask you a question about camera bags in particular?
Yeah.
I tend never to use camera bags, like when I'm out in the third world, moving around the earth, because I find that camera bags are like
magnets.
Yeah, rip me off, please. I usually use the most ratty backpacks, or like just things that really won't draw any attention to themselves.
Same here. It's all beaten up, and I've had the luxury that for about 7 years, for my Happy Shooting podcast, we had a sponsor who sold accessories, including backpacks. So every other week. And we tested them and then talked about them on the show. So every other week there was twice a month a backpack came my way to test and then to send back. And so I had my hands on, every backpack pretty much. And so I had the luxury of being able to compare them pretty directly. And I found one that's, I think, Mindshift, which is a used to be a brand of think tank, I think. And that's the one that I got, and it works for me, and it's fine, and it's beaten up and everything. And I don't know. I mean, just looking at the outdoor backpack in white, nice idea, but
Well,
so for me, it has to be sturdy. It has to be like it lands in the dirt every now and then, and
Of course.
yeah, white is not the best color, is it?
Peak Design definitely makes high quality products. I know people who love their Peak Design backpack over any other backpack. So I don't want to belittle anyone, but for me personally, it needs to be a different one.
Totally with you. And good points both. I wouldn't be buying a Peak Design one. What did I like there? Do you know what? Wouldn't have bought it, but Peter McKinnon does a range of bags with a company called Nomatic. I think they're in this country for some reason, probably a copyright reason. They're known as Gomatic. But there's a little sling, fits it that they do, which look really good. But look like a great camera bag. But maybe
Peter
I should
McKinnon
say that
does
my
some
fascination.
very interesting things, doesn't he?
He does.
I bought his ND polarizer with a little
See, we talked about that on the show, didn't we? You hit the only filter you'll ever need, because it's got all the.
It's so
magic.
good.
Yeah,
so good.
So there's a lot of stuff. So I really enjoyed looking at the camera bags. I didn't buy any, and to be honest, I wasn't particularly tempted with any of them. I'm like you guys in the sense that I love a great bag, but I don't want it to scream, come and steal me. And one of these ones with the big branding on them and stuff like that, not my kind of thing. But it's just, I just find it fun. I love because we talk about this stuff all the time, but we're not a podcast that gets kit sent to us for review or anything like that, are we? So it's nice to go and play with these things once a year. And
Leica, are you listening?
I would test Leica on the show for sure. Yeah. All right. Cool. Thanks for bringing all that to our little podcast.
If I could just draft Adrian's kind of gear talk with my pick of the week, which we have discussed before, because I was feeling very, very good about my show, and I was in New York, and I managed to actually overspend and buy.
You got the grip.
I did. I did. And a lot of these purchases, you
talking about a Leica grip for your phone.
Talking about a Leica grip. And if you noticed, I have 2 Peak Design clips on it, so I can sling it. And I walked New York and did a lot of street photography there with this item, both that way and this way. And I have to say, after field testing this for a week and a half, it is amazing. So it is so different than what I anticipated.
Well, so we'll have to say the Leica Lux grip magnetically attaches to your MagSafe back on your phone, or your G2 back, and it talks to the Leica
app
software, to the app on the phone, and you have 2 programmable buttons and a shutter button and a wheel for your index finger.
For the very first time of moving around New York with an iPhone as my camera, this is the very first time that it felt transformative as a camera. That all of my controls, in other words, lenses, even the looks, and the new updated Leica app is fantastic. They even have one look that emulates the 1923 Leica, black and white, grainy, no contrast.
And finally, Leica has managed to create a subscription model, because that software costs you like $70 a year.
It does, and for that one, I gladly pay, because it is the images that come out from the camera, and it does that. It's a good, very expensive camera.
Very expensive phone stand you got there, yes.
Yeah, very expensive. But it is so well designed, feels so good in the hand, and is, when linked to the app, also has your function buttons, so you can move between lenses, you can move between shutter, you can underexpose very, very quickly in an analog style without touching the screen and doing all of that. And it's very, very good at for street photography. Click, 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 without holding the camera. So it's discreet in that way. And so a big thumbs up on this piece of gear. It's very expensive, hard to find too. But, I was just walking past the Leica store, and it's like it was like a magnet.
It sang its dulcet tones into your ear.
You know what I mean? And I know when we first talked about this, and I had listed, I went to B&H and I said, online, and I said, just let me know when it's in. And of course, never heard from them because it wasn't in. It's out of stock. And so I was just asking, when is that grip going to be in? We haven't. Oh dear.
So how does it compare, Jeremiah? Because you and I both have, I think we have different products, but we both have a shift cam grip.
Yeah, the shift cam is very good for charging your camera. This does not charge your camera, but it holds the charge for, they say, 1,000 shots.
Oh, okay.
And when I put the little clip, the Peak Design clip, so that I can use a proper camera strap, and it really does feel that I'm using a camera without a viewfinder, obviously. But it's just my phone. It's with me all the time. And it is a rugged and beautiful piece of design gear. The other one that I have, I found, this is very curious, doesn't automatically connect to the camera apps that you have to go through a little bit of a cycle. Okay, that's fine. And it's plastic. Okay, fine. But I found with the Leica one, it's instantly, like, you launch the app and it's completely, boom, it takes 1 millisecond to get photographic. But I found that with the one that we have, I find it really good to throw on my back as a camera charger.
Yeah.
It does. Throw on the back charges the camera. I don't think about it. So
yeah. Interesting. Okay, well, good to know that that it's actually a premium product, right? It does something more for you than the one that you already had. So that's cool.
Yeah, no, this is I can't say enough. It's really, really good. It's expensive. That's the downside.
$300 something.
$320. Yeah.
Probably the cheapest thing in the Leica store, though, eh?
Probably. It'll give you access to Leica, to the red dot for almost nothing.
By the way, they do sell a camera bag for it.
Yeah, I see. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's a bridge too far.
Anyway,
interesting.
Let me bring up my pick of the week. So, I love it when some show, movie, or something establishes an effect of some sort. We remember The Matrix, for example, and all of a sudden people wanted to learn about bullet time. This is just happening now with an effect that is not new, that is very, very old. And I'm talking about the Dolly zoom. And the Dolly zoom is being used in the intro of Severance. That's when, or not just in Severance, when, without saying too much, they have an inside and an outside world. And when they switch from the inside to the outside world, they go into an elevator, and then as a Dolly zoom, the face stays exactly the same size, but the camera moves away while zooming in, or the other way around. And a lot of people, I've seen it pop up in my timeline, videos talking about Dolly zoom, and people are learning the technique. And the Corridor Crew has a video about the intro of, I think, the second season. They analyzed the intro and how it was filmed. By the way, it took a month to film that intro. And they also talk about the Dolly zoom effect, and they bring up the slow-mo guys. Gavin of the slow-mo guys on their second channel has a Bolt camera crane, full automatic robot camera arm, and he recreated that and showed people how it works. So It's a very interesting kind of thing to watch behind the scenes, and I'm a fan of it. It's really good.
Not just for 1970s horror movies, then.
I mean, Vertigo is one of the pristine examples of the dolly zoom, but it's been around for a long time. As soon as they had zoom lenses and the camera on a rail, then they started playing with it. Of course, you can have that effect. I think the first time I had that effect without even knowing was when I tried to, with a Super 8 camera, to film out of a moving car towards the front, and I was zooming out while the car was driving, and it was a really weird looking effect. And that was a dolly zoom. So there we go, the dolly zoom, and people learning about it.
Good stuff.
All right, Adrian, you brought us
I now
photography.
have yes, photography. I'll get to that in a minute. I'm inserting in here a quick second pick of the week based upon our conversation on Leica, which was unplanned. Whoops. Throwing books all over my study now. But what I'm reaching for is this week's amateur photographer, which you might be able to see on the front, is celebrating 100 years of Leica, because this month, March 2025, is 100 years since... I don't know whether
the first
it was the
commercial Leica was sold, I think.
Yeah. So they've got fantastic stuff in here. They've got stuff about the history of the cameras. Obviously, lots of pictures of early Leica cameras. They've got pictures. They've got a view through the current Leica catalogue, Leicas you can buy today. They've got demonstrated work of photographers who use Leicas and things like that. And they have a really, really interesting story about this fella here, who is Ernst Leitz II, who is essentially not the founder of the Leitz company, because it already existed, but the man who was in charge when they started making the cameras we know them for today, who I read for the first time actually was quite instrumental in saving Jews in the war, and providing them with paths out of Germany when they were in trouble. So, every day's a learning day. But there you go.
Awesome.
So this week's edition of Amateur Photographer, 100 Years of Leica. I don't think they had the camera grip in there, Jeremiah. Sorry, I didn't read about the I mean, I haven't finished the magazine yet, so I don't know if it's there or not. Anyway, on to my actual pick of the week. Story of this one is that an entirely unexpected package dropped at my doorstep the other day. I'm like, I've no idea what this is. And what happens when you see something and it's on pre-order, like a book that's on pre-order, and you think, oh yeah, I'm definitely going to buy that, right? And you buy it, and it says, oh, it'll be delivered in about 3-4 months' time or something. Well, I got one of those,
later.
and you forget about it.
And it's like you get a free book, isn't it? It's like, because by then you've completely forgotten about it. You don't care about the money anymore, and you get a free book. So this week's free book is called Gulag by Barry Lewis. The story behind this is quite a deep story, and I haven't been able to read every word in the book yet. But the in the relatively short Glasnost period, Barry Lewis and I think maybe a couple of other people were granted permission to explore the Siberian Gulag system, or what was left with it. And the book is about what happened, that it's got so the story of under Stalin from I think 1930 something to 1953, something like 18 million Russians were sent into forced labor camps in Siberia. First thing they had to do was build a road to get from the port to where they're going to be, and it's like 2,000 kilometers of bitter winter road building by hand. So there's the story of what happened. There's the story of how people lived. There are conversations and photographs with survivors, and also about what happened afterwards, and people who stayed there and built communities and what have you. So for me, a fascinating pictorial history book. I am very much looking forward to spending more time with it, because there's a lot in it. This is not one of those books that is just pictures. There's proper stuff that comes with it as well.
Striking photography.
Yeah, it looks fantastically
Yeah.
good.
I've been to Siberia a couple of times, but still looks like that in some places. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Wow.
looking for it's a deeper one, but
we're hoping that America does not turn into this.
Let's try not to. All right. That brings us to the end of this episode. Thanks all for bringing what you brought here to the show. And we're online, thefutureofphotography.com. We're on the YouTubes. We have photos online. And join us on our Discord to discuss with us about photography. That was it. We'll be back soon with another episode. Until then, everyone, take care. And bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to The Future of Photography. Join the discussion on our Discord, find the show notes and all episodes at thefutureofphotography.com, and subscribe wherever you listen to audio.